Hi, friends. A very great morning for my friends in the US and a lovely evening for my partners, friends, and startup founders in India and the Asian countries. Yeah, being in two time zones, we sometimes feel it typical of giving a wish to start off with. Fine, I won't take much of your time, and straight away we'll dive deep into the life of a startup founder. Basically, any startup founder, they begin a business, a model with an idea that pops up in their mind. They do some research onto that, and they finally feel that's the calling for them, and they get into the startup mode. The particularly a very difficult domain to start up, not in today's world, in any world. It's a very risk taking appetite that you should have so that you feel it comfortable with all the ups and downs that you face during a journey as a founder in any startup. Now, here, what I'm trying to bring up to you is a few of the major constraints or reasons or problem areas that you find as you start running or growing your startup from day one. We must have seen across with our many startup friends and colleagues who had dropped off their job, nice paying job, and then thought, yes, this is the time for me with all my expertise, experience, and my risk taking appetite. I should be starting up a founder and with the dream of getting and growing something like a bigger billion-dollar companies. Yes, we have heard a lot of stories of many billion-dollar companies who grew from zero to $1 billion in a year or two. Yes, that's right. But if you take the other side of that, have you ever seen or found how many of the companies or the startups couldn't achieve that? They couldn't reach there. There may be some particular reasons, right? Why everyone couldn't be a billion-dollar company? Why they couldn't hit their lines of deliverables? Why they couldn't hit the numbers, the revenue models? That's normally plus point for all of you. So what I'm trying to bring out to you is not a very happy-going life like something you find in movies. No, this is something to bring out the real bare metal truth that happens in the life of any founder and why many of the founders couldn't reach where the others have reached. We find a small percentage of founders, maybe 5 to 10%, who has done good, who has grown. Now, here is why most of the startups fail before finding their ICP. That's the question here. And if I break down ICP, it's nothing, it's your ideal customer profile. The pain that any customer exactly has is your ideal customer. It's like you spend money on something. Why do you spend money on something? You spend money on something only when it helps you either reduce your workload, improves your timelines, and also it helps you perform better. So finally, it's giving you a good financial growth within you. These are the few reasons why any product or service becomes successful and why many of them don't become successful. Now, this is a 60-minute webinar. I will be running fast through that, and I understand pretty well that this something so complicated like this cannot be covered in 60 minutes. It needs a lot of more time for discussing, analyzing, understanding things. But yes, this will surely give you a framework to work upon, to ponder upon, to think and see what over the weekend really look back, sit back and see where am I going wrong, or am I going in the right path, and is all the points that we're discussing here being taken care of. That's the most important part here. This is a critical gap analysis. Now, most startups build products without truly understanding who they are building it for. You have been building products, I have been building products, but at times we find that we really don't know who is it that I'm building this for. Now we are trying and we'll go through uncovering why the MVPs fail, and more importantly, how do you find your ICP or the ideal customer profile for you. There's a very important journey for any startups to finalize and find their ICP, which is the ones or who are the people who are going to pay for it, what you're going to build. By the end of this, you will know exactly how to validate your assumptions before wasting months and burning midnight oil for building the wrong thing. I'm sure this is not very exciting to hear. Let's see how it goes further, okay? We are taking this further now, folks. You may note down your questions or clarifications, anything needed. At the end of the sessions, we will spend a few minutes clarifying some of the questions there. And then if further support is needed, we will go ahead and have one-to-one discussions at some other point of time. Now, if you see around us, we must have seen every year thousands. It's a very small number I'm mentioning, but it's much more than thousands. Even if a small country like any of the emerging countries, they have thousands of startups. It's lakhs basically. Why do so many startups who launch quietly disappear into the graveyard? The picture I'm showing you is very mind-tingling kind of thing. Graveyard where a lot of startups have been buried, and most of them quietly disappear. If you've seen that, they quietly disappear. No dramatic collapse, just a gradual decline and disappearance. No one knows what happens. The slow fading or the slow death, which no one knows, or not even the market knows that you have been doing something like that, is very heart crunching for the startups who have spent a lot of their money, who have spent a lot of their time, who have spent their peace of mind, who has run around with their emotional comfort lines. It's very heartening to see and learn this. With this in my mind, I slowly been working with a lot of startups for almost a decade plus now. But I had some examples like this in my older years, and I thought this is something I should be bringing out to the new startups who are thinking of vibe coding, AI, and blah blah, and just the idea or dream of putting up something in 3-4 months and then become a $1 billion company. Now, the question you're going to ask me is why some companies can become $1 billion and why not us? Yes, if you go through this webinar seriously and take down notes, I'm sure you must have kept your pen and notebooks ready nearby. If you take notes onto this and think over the same thing for the next 2 days, you will get the answers whether you will be successful with what you're doing right now, or you need to change tracks and go in a different road towards achieving your goals. Now, the question is, if I build it, they will come. There's most of the founders, most of them, they feel that if I build it nice, if I build it right, the customers will come. No, this is just an illusion. And this illusion is what is costing the founders everything in their life. A nice, smooth life, going into ups and downs, the hills and valleys, is just because of this feeling that if I build it, they will come. And they is the customers. Without an intentional go-to-market strategy, Just because you have a good product, nicely made, nicely packaged, polished up, will not give you success. This mindset of if I build will come has led countless startups, countless startups to fail, and unknown failure when no one knows is a quiet death with no hiccups, no showcasing, no dramatic closing, nothing. You start a company with a lot of dramas, lot of presentations, lot of postings in places, social media everywhere, your friends, family, parties, a startup kickoff party, everything happens. But at that, it's very silent. No one knows about it. It just lost in the whole ocean with no ups and downs anywhere. The waves just take over, engulf you, and you are no one there. It's very unfortunate, and I'm very sorry for those startups who had to go through this stage of death. It's real death. Now, the cost is real. They have missed the market opportunities, the funding has gone down, the momentum has been lost, and ultimately the company has failed. They had to shut down the companies that they registered with a lot of energy and fun, excitement in that. Building is only half the battle. That is building an application. But I did say it's just 25% of what a startup is. Even though this 25% is the pillar and the backbone of a startup, but the above 75%, the buildings that you build about that foundation is what really decides whether you need to be successful. You should have a flow of customers, you should have a real MRR or an ARR, that is a monthly revenue, recurring revenue should happen. These things are decided mainly by the flows that you build over your foundation, and the foundation is your application or the MVP that you build. Now, with every development, you should initially be able to finalize, shortlist onto an audience, a market, and then you should find a way how you are going to showcase your market presence. You should be able to build your presence that someone like you is really available. You are doing this for this kind of customers. The customer should know about it. Now, unless the customer knows about it, how do you think, wow, great your product is? How super great your product is? How do you think they will know about it? It's like you are the best kept secret in the world, and you want to keep it as a secret inside your lockers with digital locks. No one can open it and no one can see it. And once the market knows about you, your customers or customers who are going to be your customers, the people with the pain, they know about you, then you should have a path that you connect from you to that customer. There should be a road they should be able to travel to and forth. Coming to you, going back from them to solving their point, again coming back to you with a feedback. They should have a road for that. And if these things are not built, then you are nowhere. You are just working on a fancy, maybe I can say it very honestly, you're just doing a hobby, not talking about a business. Now I'll tell the core truth behind this, which most of us won't like to hear, but yes, that's the real truth. Startups don't fail because they can't build. They build great, they build awesome products. They fail because they build for the wrong people. Now you feel that this niche of people, this group of people has this problem, but you have never spoken to them. You have never taken their views. So you never know, is this the real problem they have? Is this the same people of customers that they will be taking my product, paying me to solve their problem? solve their pain, and someone will pay you only if the pain is real. It hurts them. If it doesn't hurt them, they will say, it's okay. I can go around with this pain. It's not a major thing for me. Understand this? Yeah. So always, the first point you should note down, in case you are failing, it's failing because you are not building for the right people. Your ICP is not right, or your ideal customers are not the ones you are going to show your visibility to, show your presence to, showcase your product to. You're not doing that. You're doing it to somebody else. I did always say myself to all founders whom I have been working earlier also, never sell to your friends and family in the first 2 years of your business. At least 1 year of your business, never sell to them. Yes, you can take funding from them, but never sell to them, because they may have an emotional connection with you, and that connection will not make them be critical with your product, with your service. They are trying to see and visualize your service or your product, but they are not the people who has the pain which can be solved with what we are building. So the biggest startup mistake I did say is building the product before identifying who it is really meant for. This is one of the problems that affects most startups, but they are rarely discussed. The core issue is the founders jump straight into building without truly understanding the customer. No, some of you being already through this journey to some part of startups, think back how much time you have spent trying to understand your customer. Have you ever picked up a phone and spoken to them? No. This isn't about market surveys. Bigger companies do market surveys trying to find out which market is suitable for it. No, it's not about that. This is deeply knowing who will actually use your product. Who is going to use your product is what is important here. Now, what happens is you build first and then ask questions later. In this, you are essentially gambling with your time and resources, isn't it? You build something, then you get into the market and start asking questions. Aren't you gambling with your time? The money you already spent doing this? Think over. Now, the second major thing that we all have, all the founders have, we fall in love with our solution. For us, the solution that we are building, or a startup that we are building, the company that we are building, the product that we are building is like a child for us, our own child. Now, think about our own child, 2 months or 3 months of age, how careful we are, how much possessive we are of the child, how much of love and affection we give that to our child. And this is what happens. Once you get into the mode of love and affection, of possessiveness for the child that we have, our startup is, then the solution becomes the center point. It becomes everything for us. Our total focus, dedication, look, everything goes only onto solution. We forget the other things. We forget the pain. We forget the customers whom we are building for, why we are building for. We forget everything. And this is what creates one of the major problems with almost a good amount of founders. And with this, if you take an example of your own child, you spend more time into shopping for the child. You spend more time into doing a makeup for the child, because that's your world. You have forgotten what the child is destined to be, what all works that it's supposed to be doing, what all teachings that needs to come in. You forgot all those things. Same way in the startup, you forget your customers, you forget what the pain was, which you actually initially devised and started building this up. You start forgetting that. you start polishing it. Now, the build first, validate later is a big trap. And this is a serious trap for all startup founders. They totally move away the part of the problems to some extent. They 100% move away from the ICP. They can't even finalize onto the ICP. They can't even talk to at least 20 people within the ICP group. They don't have time for that. The focus is totally based onto the product. Because their thought process is you build first and then you can validate later. Now what happens here? 6 to 12 months at times, you keep on building features, you keep on building bells and whistles, you keep on building polishing different UIs, color combinations, UI combinations, then features that nobody has asked for. What do? You look at the big shots who are doing $1 billion business almost nearby to what you are doing, and you start building almost all those kind of features that they have. You forget that they also started very small. Have you thought about WhatsApp that good number of percentage in this world uses now? When it started 8 years, 10 years back, it was only an Android version. It didn't even have an iOS version. Forget it. Now in the Android version, the basic thing was there. Send a message, reply, get a reply, connect to a SIM number. That's all. All the bells and whistles you find today was not there. They validated the market with the validation. They extended the validation to an extent that they got more number of customers using it, getting addicted to it, because this was more than a problem area, new model of communication that was being built. They made the users habituated to start using it. Finally, the users came to a scenario that they can't leave this alone and think of something else. And at that state, they started building features. They build up the iOS version, and every version you find 3 months, 6 months, new options, new features, new polishings, new styles coming up. And this is the same that you should be having. You should be building a very mini product. Now, in today's world, what happens? A good number of MVPs are almost a finished product. You have built up almost everything. It's not at all an MVP. Then why do we have that MVP? The concept of MVP, the minimum viable product, why did it come? It was just to make sure you could validate your customer base and you could check back with them. Is this the real problem that they have? Are they willing to pay for this? Without doing that, building the whole thing is useless. Because tomorrow if they say, no, who asked you for this? I didn't want this. This is not the pain that I cannot live by. This is not the pain I would not be interested to invest in. All your money, your resources, your emotional backups, your family, everybody comes against you. You become a lone soul with a lost case startup. Now always, I did suggest, look back, start talking to your customers right from the beginning, before even you write a single line of code. And always validate your idea before launching into the market. Many of the startups launch into the market without actually speaking to a customer. They just assume that the customers should be that. Assume, if you can break out that word assume, it's like ASS and me. It's like making an ass of ourselves. We have never thought, nor spoken to any people whether they really want this. It's like selling milk to a family who are against dairy products. We have never researched and asked them, do you really take milk? So most of the MVPs are overbuilt products pretending to be MVPs. They are not MVPs, they are overbuilt. They have almost all the functionalities that you need in a product. The only thing is, they don't know whom this is made for. This is a reality check. Before building up, you should make the list of your ideas, your dreams, and then take an axe and start chopping it. What is it that needs to go in the MVP in phase 1? What is the core feature that you need to test for your hypothesis that you have developed to be true? Overbuilt MVPs always delays your product launches because you are busy and focused on building in a lot of nice to haves, polish it here and there, keep on polishing. You add on features that are never needed in this domain. This delays your launches. This wastes a lot of resources, your money, your time, everything goes off. And there's a saying in any startups, the earlier you launch, the more you're visible, the chances of you being successful are pretty higher. The more you delay the launch, the more the delay in your customers seeing what you have built, the more the chances of you wasting money, wasting efforts, which are useless, is high. Real MVPs, I did say, they're just sloppy. They just build one odd feature which is the real pain and push it back. It's not polished product. The logos are just a logo. The colors may not be very flashy. Even the edges, they may not be curved. They may be square at times. Because the priority is in finalizing whether this model can help you solve the problem of a customer who has a real pain and he would be happy in spending money to solve that problem. Now think, has this some connection with you somewhere down the lane in a startup journey? Think over. Now, what an MVP actually means? It's not about less features or fewer assumptions. This is a critical mindset. MVP doesn't mean stripping down your product to bare bones. It's about reducing the number of things you assume about your customers without any evidence. You feel that the customers need this. No. It's not that. You have never got any evidence on that. You have never spoken to anybody. No customer has sent out a message to you. Yes, I need this. This is a pain area for me. You assume that this is what they need and you start building. Every feature you build is a bet on what the customers actually need. Now the goal here is to test your riskiest assumptions as quickly and as cheaply as possible. It means you test your risk that this is the real pain of this part of customers, this group of customers. You test it out the earliest you can in the cheapest way you can. You might include very small features, fewer features than you like. Yes, you need to cut your thought process, imagination somewhere. Put very lesser features, but put those features which can help you solve the pain of the customer. That's the most important thing. The distinction matters here is how you prioritize your focus onto the customers and how fast you start learning from them. How does the learning happen? As I mentioned earlier, the two-way lane, you create a path between you and the customer where you travel to each other's place and come back. This path will give you more learning rather than by running customer survey or market campaign or something like that. Talk to the customers, they will tell you the pain. The best place is go to a coffee shop, talk to a customer, spend half an hour with him, he will tell his real pain areas. And you know now you know what to build. Now, three things these founders normally confuse. I have been also in this founder journey. I had some of these problems, so I started building on this now. One is the prototype, the second is the MVP, the third is the market ready product. Now, prototype is something we are building that is visualizing how this thing should be, how this thing can solve the pain of the area. These prototypes or bare designs, it's not functional, it's not real, it's the visualization. With these visualizations, you can start connecting with your customers, talking to them, showcasing them this, and getting their feedback and real ideas. You can even take the assurances that they're ready to pay what kind of dollars for solving this problem of this with this visualization. You will get a lot of learning inputs that you can get in 6 months of coding. 6 months of coding will not give you those inputs that the customer can give you before even you start writing a single line of code. Then comes the MVP. Now you are showcase the prototype to a customer. He's happy. He has given his feedback and he's ready to pay you for using something like this. This is when you start building the MVP. The real product that works. The functionalities are there, but it solves only one clear problem of the customers whom you have spoken to and who are ready to pay you. It's a small set of people, 20 or 30 people, sufficient. Now you run this to these 20, 30 people. Once they start using it, they start paying you, you start getting feedback. And within this time, expand the customer base to around 100 or 200. That validates your product for bit mass market. Don't go all around the world. Go to a small niche, small geography, small set of people. Exactly define this is what the people who are going to use it. Now, when you have these 200 people using it and paying you, you have a real product that is solving the pain of a set of people of a particular niche that you have defined already. You can define your ideal customer profile very deeply and with full clarity. Now, once this happens, this is the time when you with one hand go for funding, with the other hand start developing the additional multiple features, you plan on the scalability, you plan and start implementing the growth infrastructure, because more number of customers, your infra has to grow. The cloud has to grow. It has to be capable of going up and down as per the flow of customers, as per the customer usage. Now, that's why I'm telling finally, MVP is not about building less. Don't misunderstand me. It's not about building less. It's about building only what proves your idea is right. From end to end. You have the idea, you have the validation, you have some customers paying for you. So you know, these customers, if I can break down into multiple pieces and then find the same kind of customers, I have a big market. So this is what an MVP is. So always think these three things. Now the major thing, why does real MVPs fail? We all have been seeing this MVPs that was nicely built, a great tech behind that, still fails. It's not about the technology that runs the MVP, it's about the clarity of the ICP. Most people doesn't have the clarity about ICP. They look at a broad band of ICP. It's like anyone using Android phones in this world are my customers. It cannot be. We need to break it down. If I give an example, the people who are using Android phones with a budget range of 20,000 to 30,000 Indian rupees, or maybe around $200 to $300, and are staying in a particular geography and within a particular age group with a particular education field, this is my ICP. But is what happens, you exactly know who are the people you should be targeting to, who are the people you should be talking to, and what is their profile. This is what we call clarity. And if you don't have that, you should sit with people, experts like us, who are into this for decades and can help you define your ICP. You already know your ICP, you know the pain area, but to cut it down, bring it into smaller niche, you need support. You can connect with people. You can bring them in as consultants. Yeah, there's one more saying. Everybody today's in the world of startup, there's a very funny characterization. Everybody wants a co-founder, and everybody wants to be a co-founder. Everybody is not a co-founder. Co-founder normally is a guy who is opposite of the traits and expertise you have. You may be good at technology, then your co-founder has to be good at marketing. Both are into technology, who will do the marketing for you? The initial stages, you need someone to explore and design the marketing. It's not that you need to do the actual work. Same way with coding. You need not do the coding. You should understand what an architecture can be. If someone shows you an architecture, should be able to grasp it. So don't look at getting co-founders for everything. Look at getting people who can complement your expertise, not be of your same expertise. And remaining all, you can always hire. You can pay money with people who are experts in different domains, get the work done for them. People who are good at doing their work, they prefer to be working for somebody rather than becoming a part of the management as a co-founding team for all the projects they do. They don't do that. They don't have the time for that. And if they lose their focus on actually what they are doing. And if they start becoming co-founder, they lose their focus. They are more into different things then. How do you think you're going to get the output you expected or dreamt of getting from them? It's not possible, right? Now, think over, write it down. Am I solving the problems for the wrong person, or is my ICP properly defined and is a very small, clear niche like I mentioned? Note down, that's one of the major things that you should be working on. Now, we will go a bit more deeper into how lack of ICP clarity derails MVPs even before they get on the ground. Let's go and see now this word ICP. You have been hearing in and out. I have been talking from beginning. What is this? It's the most specific description of the person who has your problem. In the sense, is the man who has a problem that you are trying to solve. You need to pinpoint that man. Now, pinpointing in this world of billions is not that easy. You need to filter it out. Filtration is a big expertise. It's not everybody can do. That's what databases do. So that is what you should be doing. Now, most founders skip this step entirely. They just point to a broad market, as I mentioned, and they find that is the broad market for me, that's done. That's my ICP. Now, the critical questions here are, who actually has this problem? Can you write it down in 3 lines or 4 lines who actually has this problem? If you can, then I think you have done your market study. You know who your ICP is. Now, next is, after that, who is the what? What is the acute pain that you are trying to solve? Is it a nice to have or a must solve thing? There's no other option. I need to get this solved, or I can run with this for some more time, no issues. It's not a major concern. Now, maybe this is like a pain I face once in a week. It's not an everyday pain. And that once in a week, maybe half an hour, 1 hour, I can go ahead with that. Because spending money there is not much worth for me. The next question is, you know who the guy is. You know what the pain is. Now, are they willing to spend money for that? That's a bigger question. If your ICP The people who has this problem don't have the kind of money that they need to spend, or they are not willing to spend the kind of money, then this whole concept, whole idea has fallen down. So now the more precise you are of who you are building this for, the better you can reach them, message to them, and then build a product they will actually buy from you. This sounds interesting, right? Now these 3 points, note down, work on them over the weekend and see who has the problem, how painful it is, and are they willing to pay. That's your ICP. Now, I will give some signals so you know that your ICP is weak. I'll give 2-3 examples. There is a startup founder who says, everyone is my customer. Everyone in this world is my customer. It's too broad. So basically, this signals that you are not actually identified your actual target market. You are not worked on that. You are just given a broad statement. Everybody is my customer. This is too generic, basically, no? And anything that is generic, you cannot sell because you cannot craft a proper marketing for them. You cannot craft a proper solution for them. Your solution is generic, and generic problems need not be solved. It's not urgent. It's a nice to have, but it's not urgent. It's not a need. It's not a want. So such things people never buy. They never spend money for that. Now, if you see in your day-to-day life, you must be getting a lot of new startups coming up, email you to email campaign that there's a new product. They give you free for 1 month. Many of you must have registered for many of this. You must have used for 2 days, 3 days. Then even during the free period, you have stopped using it. Think over why. And this is what the same thing, the exact replica your customer is going to do for what you're going to send to him. So millions of potential customer means there is no clear focus. You need to exactly know who they are, their industry, their company size, their work is for a B2B then, their company size, their roles, their challenges, their buying behavior, their market, how good those companies are doing, how is their revenue growth, how is their hiring progression. Unless you know these things, you cannot specifically finalize and fine-tune an ICP. And this specifics is what's going to help you create proper product decisions, marketing collaterals, sales pitches. Unless you have this, it doesn't work. There's a saying, if your ICP fit millions of people, it fits no one. Very simple. You are not a fit for anybody of that. You are just built because you thought it's a good product. Now we were discussing the same thing, a weak ICP and a strong ICP. I'm just giving you an example of what those both can be. Now my weak ICP is businesses struggling with customer support. And if I make it into niche, it can be US-based Shopify store owners doing 1 million revenue, drowning in customer support tickets with no dedicated team. You can even go deeper in that. Your geography of US base is pretty big now for the validation. Bring it to a city. You can validate your first 200, 300 customers from there. And those are your first paying customers who give you real feedback. What happens with narrower ICP, your product validation is faster because you exactly know who to target. And once you start talking to them, you learn faster. Your learning is pretty fast then, else it takes months for you. Now, we will go into a 4-step method any founder of any domain can run in under 2 weeks to finalize your ICP. This sounds interesting to you? How many of you would be able to do that, would take it as a challenge for you. Before even building now, even writing the first line of code or getting someone to do that, the first thing you need to do is you need to finalize your IPP. You don't need a massive budget for that or a team to do that. You as a founder is sufficient to that. Shortlist, finalize a small geographical location and your niche customers. Pick up the phone, start talking to them. If there is possibility of meeting them individually, do it. And you can do it in 2 weeks. This will give you clarity on who you are actually building your product for, which makes everything else, your product decisions, your marketing, your fundraising, everything easier because you know exactly who is going to buy from you. Unless you know exactly who is going to buy from you, who is going to pay for you, all these things is very difficult. Because the clarity of concept, the clarity of your startup, you yourself don't have. How do you expect others to have? And yes, this is the first question any guy who is going to fund you is going to ask you. It's very important. Now, we will go through the method. It's a 4-point method now. I will not go much deeper into this. Yes. Now, start by identifying the real problem and the impact it has on your customers. There should be significant enough. The pain should be so significant that they are ready to spend time and money for solving that. Or this pain should be hurting their reputation. You know, the emotional failures, the emotional risk that people normally don't take. If someone's reputation is hurt, if you have a solution for that, they will be more ready and easy to pay for you. They will be more acceptable for your service or product because reputation comes on a top priority for all human beings. Nobody wants to play around with that. Then, as I mentioned, choose a very specific market. For example, real estate brokers in Texas, or maybe fitness coaches selling online is a big one. You can look at fitness coaches, individual fitness coaches who are selling online in Texas and some particular areas also you can define. So you may have 20 or 30 people there. This is the lane you need to pick up. This is the focus you need to have. And then talk to 20 of these people. Ask them what's the biggest frustration there. Ask them, how are you solving it today? Are you really solving it today? Or are you stuck with them? Ask them, if you're ready to build something that can help them solve this, will they be willing to pay for that? That's very important. Unless they're willing to pay for that, why do you want to build something for them? Then it's the wrong customer base for you. It's not a business model, it's a charity for you. There are a lot of charities organizations in this world. You need not start another one. Okay? So finally, the tip that you should write down right now is talk to 20 people before writing a single line of code. Make a note of this. Come on, write on the papers. Okay, done? Yeah. Now how to build and now we saw what are the problems that we face in not building it right. Now let's create a framework who want to move fast without building the wrong thing. Okay, as I mentioned earlier also, it doesn't mean that you're building everything fast. It just means you are building the right things first. It's not that you are hiring a 50-member team to make sure you have the full MVP in 20 days or maybe 30 days. No, you are building only the most required things first. Remaining can move into phase 2. Let the validation happen, let the money start flowing. Even if it trickles, the money flowing will give you the satisfaction of understanding, learning that you have built up a product or solve the pain for which customers are ready to pay. Paying $5 $10, $20 doesn't make much difference if you keep on adding value to that. But paying that first $5 makes the difference in you to learn whether this problem is a real problem that people will pay for solving. That's what your business model is. Unless someone who pays you the money, is it a business? No. Now, we will go through this 4-phase framework, and by the end of this, you will have a clear roadmap on how to launch your MVP strategically. Not just out of your top head, but strategically how you want to do that. Okay, keep a note. First one is validate your problem. As I mentioned, start talking to potential users, run interviews, meet them in the coffee shops, observe the market, analyze your competitors. Don't assume you know the problem. Verify it first. Number 2 is the MVP. Now, define the MVP. Ruthlessly get a butcher who can cut down and still get you the heart out of the whole body, which will function, which has a value, which is the most wanted piece. Do that. Work out the single model, single core problem that you can solve. Don't put in bells and whistles. Your initial stage should not have bells and whistles, because that's losing money on a non-verified, non-validated idea. Now, once this is built, start selling it, giving it to the people, first 20 people you have spoken to, then slowly expand your horizon and get more customers from the niche that you have already finalized for a maybe state or a district or a city. Start giving it to them first. And once you give them, you create a mechanism of feedback. Create a feedback loop where you can collect real feedback from real users who are really paying you money. Never take feedback from people who are not paying anything. They are doing for the sake of fun, for the sake of criticizing you. And those are not real feedbacks. This feedback looping mechanism is the data that will help you build your growth. The next phase, start building with this data. Filter out how much of these feedbacks showcase the same thing multiple times by multiple people, and that is what you need to develop. Very simple. You need not to break your brains. Pick up the data, it will give you what is the next module that you want to build. What is the color you want to put in? What is the bell you want to add what? And where you want to add it. The feedback will give you. You need not break your brains. See, speed is a feature. That's good. It helps you. It helps you learn faster. But perfection, it's a trap. Build only what proves the idea. Then let the users come back to you and tell what they want. You know, there was a story, I can tell you a small story what happened. There was a guy who had been doing good businesses. So he thought of starting up something else in his hometown. He put up a manufacturing firm and brought in the best nutritionist and the manufacturing equipment and build up manufacturing biscuits. Now he got a great marketing team and they launched a great marketing campaign. Now the biscuits were for dogs. The packets had pictures of dogs. Now what happened? With the marketing campaign, the launch, with his money he spent on the marketing, everything, offers, the sales started improving. It started growing in the initial phases of 2-3 months. After 3 months, he found that the sales are not happening. There is no repeat customers. Stuck with this guy. He had another consultancy firm to find out what the problem can be. The consultancy did a 1 month of study and found out the dog owners were purchasing this item because it was nicely packed, nicely branded, and with a big branding, and also available in all the stores across the city. Everywhere you go, you find this thing. They purchased it, took it home, fed to the dogs. Unfortunately, the dogs didn't like it. They ate one. The second one, they didn't like it. They stopped eating it. Now, do I need to tell you what the problem is here? The business owner never found out, never tried to find out what his end customer really needs. Does he like that flavor? Does he like the smell? Does he like the taste? He never found out. And the whole startup, as we saw the graveyard earlier, it went to the graveyard. Or he had to shift his product line, build something new again. So the key message is, you are not trying to build the final product. You are trying to prove the core idea first. And users will tell you what matters to them. I think this is good for you. All of you noted down those points. Now, there is another thing. If the users don't complain to you that this feature is not there, that feature is not there, this don't look, that means your MVP is not an MVP, it's almost a full-fledged product. It's too big. Now, what's the difference? If you have a lot of money, yes, building too big and failing is not a problem. But if you're doing a startup on a bootstrap or from funding from a family and friends, then it means you should ship smaller MVPs, get the thing to the market fast, get feedback, so you're less effort, less time, and less money spent on something which you are not validated. And this is the reality check. If you are not hearing about feature upgrades or new add-ons, then probably you are added too much in it. So launch with less, and if people are coming back with you with a lot of feedbacks for a lot of new features, then it's a sign that you are doing right way. You did the right MVP. Now, the funding myth that founders believe, yes, this is a pivotal moment for us in this presentation. We shifting focus from to a misconception that normally founders back. See, everybody starts a startup with a dream of getting funding, scaling it up, growing, getting in more money, getting in more funding, and making a bigger company. Right? Now here, founders who have not been into this play area or ground of this founders of this venture capitalists or funders who have been funding different investors, if you have not been into that domain, there are a few things that you think is right but wrong. So one is, startup founders like you and me, we think that investors need to see a very polished MVP, a very compelling deck, and a big vision document that you have created with 5 years of your total growth projections, high number. No, they don't need this. In today's world, all this can be created pretty fast with AIs and a lot of qualified people in this domain. What they actually look for is the clarity you have on your ICP. How much clearly you know exactly who your customers are. How many real users you have, who is paying you. Next is early traction. How fast you go to those customers, and are they repeating the payment? Are they staying with you? And then the market insight on how much of growth potential is there. How much of that ICP niche can be expanded in multiple geographies. This is what someone looks at. In today's terms, if you look in the investor terms, they just ask what's the ARR, annual run rate, recurring revenue, annual recurring revenue. That's what is important. Recurring revenue is someone you already have a customer, you're sure that he's going to stay with it unless this product breaks down. New customers, you always need to spend money to get them. They don't come automatically. There's a marketing cost behind that. But existing customers, they're free for you. They keep on paying you for the services that you use. So funding follows traction and not ideas. Traction knows exactly who you are building for and whether that people whom you are building for are ready to pay. Understanding the customer is the faster path to grow than any feature you can build. Understanding a customer beats any feature development at any point of time in any founder's life, because customers know exactly what they want. Like the story I told you of the dog food, dog biscuits. Dogs know what they want. Unless we go and ask the customer what he wants, we are building for something which he may not need, he may not like. It may not solve the real pain he has. It may be an artificial pain you created for him, a superficial pain. So it's not about being slow or avoiding product development. I don't say you don't need to do product development. You need to do, but it's being efficient with your time and money. How efficiently you can validate and go ahead with that. That is the fastest path to grow for any founder, better than any product development. It's knowing exactly what you need to build, for whom, and the people whom you are selling to, have they asked for this? The 5 lessons for you that you can change everything in your life. Always understand MVP is not about technology. It's about proving an idea that works for a specific person. Note these points down. First is MVP is not about technology. It's about proving the idea to a specific person. See, I'm bringing the clarity of ICP there. Specific person. And ICP clarity, it always kills the feature depth. People don't want features. They want one sharp customer who can tell you exactly what is needed, a paying customer who can tell you exactly what is needed, than 1,000 vague, you think they are my customers kind of people. Unless they pay you, they are not your customers. And always talk before you build. It's very important. You need to talk to people before you start building something. I had earlier stage launches like they were not startups like which I had failed just because I did not talk to a customer what is built. I built biscuits like the other guy built. I had to rebuild it into something else. Same way, launch fast. What happens is the faster you launch, the earlier you start getting feedback. So it said launch fast and learn faster than that, because the more feedback, the faster you get feedback, you start learning. And learning is an important factor of any startup owner, founder, from day one to the time end of his career there. You need to keep on learning. Customer profiles, customer ideas, customer thoughts, customer likings change. And you need to evolve with that. You know about the Kodak company, which is one of the famous and biggest company in making films for the cameras? Where it is now. You know about Nokia, 20 years down the lane? It was the biggest manufacturer of phones, mobile phones. Where do you find it now? They couldn't evolve. And why did Apple grow so faster? They went backwards. They went to the customer, asked what the customer needs, then build it. Build the technology, and then over that build the designs with the feedback loop from the customer. So anything they build, the customers like, because it was the customers who asked them for that. And those customers were willing to pay. Let's learn from this, our older big guys. If we dream to be like them, we should learn from them. The customers that win are the ones who understand the customers fastest. Don't you think by the end of this, are you on the right track? Are you missing something? Are you fast enough for it? Getting customer feedback? Okay, this is a Q&A for you, which you need to note down your diaries and get answers to that. That's how long should an MVP development take for you? This is specific to your business, specific to your startup. Ask yourself, get an honest answer how long your MVP development should take. Then, when should founders raise funds? How many features should your MVP have? This is for you, specific to your industry, specific to your startup. These answers will give you more clarity than you had in the last 6 months or 1 year from the time you started this startup. I hope this was interesting for you. A lot of insights, more than insights, it was a learning for you, learning from me, which you could help yourself to grow your startup. Thank you for this session. And the only thing I give from here is build clarity on your pain, on your customers, and get the feedback loop rounded up. I'm sure you will be 100% successful. With these things rounded up, you will have the best success that you can get. Any questions? A few ones we can take here quickly. Other than that, anybody of you wants to connect back and see how me as a long-term founder and a consultant into tech domain can help you shortlist your ICP, can help you chop your MVPs and make sure the most required ones get out to you, and then help you scale the infra, the scaling, and the bells and whistles adding on and kind of things. I can always help you with this. You have my contact, you have my website below, you can see that, you can click on that, get on there, connect with me from there. Yes, you click on come on there, it'll ask you a few questions. Now here again, I'm validating you. It's like what I taught you, I'm using it. I'm validating you. What are the few questions I'm going to ask you? How I'm going to know about if you are the right fit for me as a customer. Unless you are fit for me as a customer, it doesn't make sense for bringing you as a customer. Okay, any questions? It's open now. Anybody can ask anything. We're put in chat also, or I think it's all unmuted. You can take a call. There's nothing much. We will close this session. Don't want to take much of your time here. Be in touch with us. You can share this to someone else who may be in need of that. There are a lot of startups, especially in these times of economic turmoil and the war around. Only the best startups and the founders who are ready to take a risk and fight this as a war will be successful. A lot of people will automatically go down a cool death. No one will know. No dramas, no presentations, no posters on the social media. There will be a death which will go into graves. You will find many of them within this time frames because it's the worst times for any startup. But the ones who are great and want to take the risk, ready to take the risk, want to follow the process that I've been mentioning now, you will be 100% successful and you can do great. So let's be in touch. Thank you for joining this. I hope this was very interesting for you. Lot of learning, lot of clarity into your visions, your ideas, your thought process. Let's go further and have a great day. Do follow my pages on LinkedIn and other places. We will be having regular such webinars and podcasts based on startups, MVPs, how to develop, and all those things we'll be having for you. Let's keep in touch. Have a great day. Take care in the war.